Hello everybody, it's Amanda. How are you doing? Yes, it is Sunday. And yes, I did say I wasn't going to be here till Monday. And no, I'm not going to wrap myself on the knuckles. I make up the rules, guys. I make up the rules. So if I want to come on Sunday, I'll come on Sunday. Because I know someone's going to say, you shouldn't be there. I'm only coming on for a little bit. And I'm coming on actually because I want to say something. And then when it's said, we can just move into next week and not have that energy hanging over us. It's actually in response to something that was said overnight, and it was a comment that I had deleted, but I almost wish I hadn't deleted it because then I could have written something in response. So I'm going to say something in response to it because I actually think it's worth saying, and also I think there's great learning in it as well. I have to say, you know that I moderate my comments on YouTube, and the truth is that people that comment overnight, or what's overnight for us in the UK, I often look at the comments first thing in the morning before I've had a cup of coffee. You don't want to know me before I've had a cup of coffee. You know, I'm a little bit like a bear with a sore head. So I'm not a morning person. So if you've written something a bit shitty, 9 times out of 10, you might get a reaction from me, which isn't myself after I've had my shower. I've come into my practice and I'm fully aligned. So, you know, it's your shout if you do that. So I make no apologies for who I am. Anyway, this particular comment, I knew it was going to come. I knew it was going to come. Those of you that are watching these dailies, do you remember I said on Friday, I was a bit worried that I had made the Indian video a little bit too positive. I mean, how can you have too much positivity anyway, to be perfectly honest? You know, how can there be too much love? How can there be too much hope? But, you know, I just knew because I know the way social media works that somebody was going to come at me with, this is too positive. And, you know, what about all the terrible suffering that's there? And do you remember I reminded people that the way I work is always to try and look for the highest timeline, to bring through the highest guidance, to not always be focusing on the pain down there. Not that we are ignoring that, but we're trying to help people get out of that. So if there is a timeline, or if there is a strand of consciousness that's going to help people at ground level to rise and free themselves from what is going on, then I will be talking about that, okay? One of the things that Archangel Metatron has repeatedly said, I've said this many times on my video, is we have to remove ourselves from the story. That doesn't mean that we forget the story. It doesn't mean that it means that we're not our story, that we can write a new chapter, that we're not forgetting what's happened to us or what is happening to us right now, but that we are more than what our suffering is. We are more than what has happened to us. We also have a highest potential in any moment to be able to turn the page, write a new script and start again. And at the moment, when I was talking about always going for the bird's eye view and the higher timeline, do you remember that bird came in very loudly on the video, sort of like as a chorus to say, yep, that's what you're meant to do. Keep on doing it. Anyway, yeah, the comment came in, which I knew would come in, but in a way that wasn't particularly pleasant, which said something along the lines of, I'm very troubled by this video because you are totally ignoring what's going on the ground level, and implied, you used the term, I did not use the term, because they are brown people, that somehow I don't care, or that their lives don't matter as much as if they were white. It was actually said by a white person. According to what you look like you're white, not anybody of any other colour. Not that that matters in the slightest. The one thing I would say is that I've had a lot of people watch that video from India, and I've had some beautiful comments come in from Indian people on the ground who are saying, you're absolutely right in what you're saying. And it is starting to happen, this rise of the divine feminine energy, and also the greater understanding of the cycle of life and death, which is really what I was talking about, that there is this wisdom there there is this understanding there of what life's actually all about. And so it's not that people aren't suffering as a result of what goes on between life and death. It's just that they have more insight than a lot of us in the West, who, when we are faced with crises of any description, go into complete panic because we haven't got that depth underneath us and the ballast to hold us, so that we really know that we believe in a God, whatever that God looks like, whatever you call that God, and that we trust in that we just keep ourselves aligned to God. But yeah, this comment along the lines of, because they're brown people, somehow, I am not wanting to look at the difficulty there on the ground. It's completely and utterly an offensive thing to say. It's not in my heart to be like that. It wasn't in what I said. That is what you took from it. And I thought, okay, what can I learn from this? Because there's been a huge miscommunication here in terms of this particular person. And the guidance that I got given is that for many of us, we actually need to start to appreciate that we have been able to transcend looking at people in terms of colour, race and religion. And sometimes I think we have to give ourselves a pat on the back that we do that. Because when I do a reading on India, for example, or China, or any other country that is not my own native land, which is the UK, I'm not looking on those people in terms of you are this colour, or you hold this faith or this religion. It's not in my energy field. So if you're accusing me of that, it's in your energy field, okay? It's in your energy field, and you need to own that. I think that many of us on this channel, I think it's almost as though I need to say this for us, because I hadn't fully maybe owned the fact that I am at that place now where I can honestly look at a human being and I don't see the colour, I don't see the religion, I don't see any of the things that we have identified people with for so long. And this is why I often get into trouble as well when I do my political reads, because I look at the person, whatever political leader it is, and I see the person, I see the soul. I don't see the tag in terms of they're Republican or they're Democrat or they're this or they're that. And then if I'm positive about that person, people think, oh, she's a Republican or she's a Democrat. It isn't. It's the fact that I'm able to see to the soul of that particular person. And it transcends politics. It transcends colour. It transcends country. It's being able to see somebody's soul. And you can also do that for a particular country. You can see a particular country's soul. You can see a particular country's highest place that they can get to in the particular timeline that they are on. So again, when I did the USA reading, there is an enormous opportunity for great learning at this moment in time for the USA, for them to really be able to throw off a lot of the division and the prejudice that has been in that society for many, many decades, which has reached more of a peak recently. But it's not negating what everybody knows, and I myself know, is happening down there on ground level. Who was it, Ghandi, who said, I think it was Ghandi, it's that line about the energy, what's the thing? It's about finding solutions to problems. And it's like you can't find a solution to a problem with the same energy that is around the problem. So to find the solution, you actually have to be able to go to a different energy altogether. Yeah? I think it was Ghandi. Put it below. It's a great comment, and it seems to be very, very relevant for now. So I pulled a card for myself for next week, and the card I got was this, and it's the card of the teacher. And it is just the teacher who's just sitting there, funny enough, with a dog. And also in Violet, which is about just transmuting maybe any of the flack that comes your way. You've just got to sit there and do it. But it's like the class is ready. But there's going to be people in that class that misunderstand, that take it the wrong way, that hear something that wasn't there. And the next card I got is the card of patience, next to the card of guidance. So I want you to take this into your life now. I want you to think about what you're being asked to practice and hold on to by spirit at the moment, which is a higher timeline than a lot of the other people in our planet right now are on. And when I say it's a higher timeline, what I mean is it's a different dimensional reality. It's beyond 5D, actually. It's beyond that. But, you know, I don't want to get into labels in terms of, oh, is it 6D? Is it 7D? Is it 8D? What does that mean? Let's just say it's a higher dimensional reality. And people are waking up to this, but some of us are already there, okay? Some of us are already there. That doesn't mean we haven't still got stuff to learn, because, oh boy, of course we do. Everybody does, including myself. But it just means as though, it really struck me today when I was reading that comment that came in. It was like, wow, you've really seen something that wasn't there. You've really seen something that wasn't there. You've really seen something in me that I know is not there. So breathe into that, you know, for me, breathe into that and just realize that how I'm looking at the world, the dimensional frequency that I'm holding, the space that I'm in, sometimes there's going to be a massive communication gap because others aren't always there. They're not always there. Now, the beauty in terms of hopefully what I do is that I work with Archangel Metatron. And Archangel Metatron is the bridge. He's the bridge between different dimensions. You know, there's a bridge between me and Metatron as well. There's a bridge between my link to anybody that I channel. But equally, he's the bridge, which is helping people. He's just saying, be patient. Allow people to, in fact, what the card says is divine timing, maturing and persistence. So for those of us that are getting this now, which is the vast majority of you, we are walking the talk. We're trying to do this, and we're going to be misunderstood sometimes, and we're going to be judged for things that weren't even in our energy field. Didn't come out of our lips in the way people are hearing that they did. Okay, it's like, have a little bit of patience with others. Okay, there's a degree of, it's interesting, I actually called the Indian video spiritual maturity. It's like, it's almost like there's a lesson here for all of us, that we're being asked to go up a grade. We're being asked to mature. We have to persist in that, because what we're after is greater wisdom, greater learning and greater information. And that takes a little while to decimate. No, that's not the right word. Process, integrate. Okay. So my guidance would be, I mean, if you want to have a pop at me, have a pop at me. You know, you're not going to, the comment won't get through. I'll read it, but you know, I will throw it off and violet flame it. But I'm more concerned about you in your life, because my guidance would be count to 10. Count to 10. Does something actually need to be said? Because you might be saying it from your place of wounding. You might be saying it from you are saying it from your dimensional reality. You don't know what anybody else's dimensional reality is. You don't know what's in their mind. What we need to be doing is going into other people's hearts. And if you're able to go into, when I say going into somebody else's heart, I'm talking about if you link into somebody's heart space, you can usually feel for where they're coming from. I've said for many, many months that communication is getting very jumbled, because there's a lot of miscommunication. It's almost as though the words that we need for the new dimensional reality that we're coming into, it's like the words aren't there, or the words, it's like Chinese whispers is what Metatron is saying. You say one thing and then it gets passed on, and it's got a slightly different interpretation. By the time the 100th person has listened to it, it's like it's nowhere near what you actually said, and it's nowhere near what came from here. And that's where, if you can go into somebody's heart space in terms of just feel into, is this coming from love? Is this coming from love? And if it's not, okay, that's maybe a bit of an amber warning sign. But if I can feel that that person's heart is genuine and I can feel that they're coming from a loving space, then you've got a green light there, okay? So, yeah, I think that's really what I wanted to say. And I needed to say it before I go on to do the other countries, you see, because I'm going to go on and I'm going to be looking at South Africa, is the next one. I want to go back and look at China. There's a number of different countries I'm going to be looking at, actually. I mean, to be honest, most of the countries around the globe, people are asking me to look at. Mexico is another one. But what I don't want you to be looking at it is in terms of colour, race or religion. I want you to realise that we're looking at countries in terms of, it's almost like their soul essence. And it's a bit like the teaching on children. When things happen to children that are terrible, okay? And of course, as an adult, we think, oh my gosh, this has happened to a child and how terrible, they were only a little child. And of course, at one level, they were only a little child, but at soul level, they probably are and will have been the most ancient soul. They can have been a much, much older soul than the person who's sort of wrapping them in cotton wool and thinking, oh, gosh, they're only 5, they're only 7, and this has happened. And yes, at a human level, we have to be there for children. Of course we do when things happen. It's not what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to say is that when you have the understanding that when you look into a child's eyes and you actually see their true soul age, you think, whoa, actually, okay, on one hand, there is a 5-year-old child sitting here in front of me, but on another, I'm sitting in front of a 5,000-year-old soul who knows damn well so much more than I do and actually has got the resource, has got the wisdom, has got the ability. Somehow they're going to get through this, So we're working increasingly at a multi-dimensional level, and it's as though sometimes our responses are coming from a very one-dimensional perspective, which is just a very funneled way of thinking about the world just in one way. So please, when you watch my work, try to see that I'm working with a guide such as Metatron, and also guides such as Christ, Ashtar. These are all beings that are able to take us away from the very human way that we look at things and are able to see something that we can't. That's why we turn to them, because they can see something bigger than us. But it doesn't mean that they don't feel the pain and the suffering that is happening down on the ground, and they can be there to help you and support you with that. But they will always take us to the next level. Metatron's name, meta, means to go beyond. That's what we're doing here on this channel, and that's what we'll always do. Okay. All right. Much love. I'm going to now go and get on with my day. And I've got my Facebook page open. I've got a closed group for Michael Jackson on my Facebook page, and there's loads of people commenting because I've just said I'm going to be bringing Michael back through next week. At some point, I'm not quite sure when, because there's a message of hope there that wants to come through. So I'm going to be doing that. So anyway, lots of love to everybody. Take care of yourselves. Have a good one. Bye.